Shalom. Giving all praise to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh by Shem, Yahweh Shai by Shem Karkadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of New York and Connecticut. Also, honors to you elders out there. You know what I'm saying? Peace and many salutations to y'all, my fellow brothers that's toiling in this truth. Now, I thought this was big news here. You had the Ukrainian troops be able to take over positions in Russia. And I thought to myself, how were they able to do this? Just months ago, there was reports of how, Ukraine was losing the war. I actually did a sit down on how you have a substantial amount of Ukrainian men fleeing the war zone to neighboring countries like Poland, Romania. So I thought, this news here that I'm going to show you guys is very surprising. And my first thought was, NATO has finally got involved in this war. They were already involved by funding Ukraine with finance and also with artillery. And now, they actually have various mercenary groups inside Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? So this is big news. These various news outlets are not really reporting on the full story, but you have alternative news outlets that are doing so. So this is big news. Along with, I heard one report saying that there was Ukraine was responsible for the Nord Stream report. You know what I'm saying? And that's you have Germany backing out of the venture, the whole military venture of Ukraine and Russia. So that's big news too. We'll see whether or not that's true. But definitely, I feel like this is big news that's going on in Ukraine, how they're able to actually advance into the land of Russia. So here you go.
Staying overseas now, Ukraine's President Zelensky says his troops are strengthening their positions inside Russia nearly 2 weeks into their surprise assault. Ukrainian forces posted these images of a bridge they claim to have blown up, cutting off several villages in western Russia. ABC's Britt Clennett has the latest from London.
Tonight, new video showing the moment Ukrainian forces hit and destroy a strategic bridge in Russia's Kursk region, cutting off a local district, hampering Russia's ability to supply its troops in the area as Ukraine pushes deeper into Russian territory nearly 2 weeks since its surprise cross-border offensive caught the Kremlin off guard. President Zelensky in a video message tonight calling on the United States and other allies to provide long-range weapons.
Zelensky's warning that if he were given full reign to strike legitimate military targets inside Russia, he can shorten the war, and now is the time, while Ukraine has some tactical advantage.
Zelensky saying Ukrainian troops are strengthening positions in the captured territory. Kyiv claiming to have taken more than 100 Russian prisoners. Drone footage from the Ukrainian military appearing to show several men in military uniforms surrendering before being taken back to Ukraine blindfolded. Zelensky earlier calling the captured land an exchange fund, implying the territory could be traded for Ukrainian regions occupied by Russia. But a Washington Post report saying the attack has derailed plans to hold indirect talks in Qatar on ending Russia's strikes on Ukrainian energy infrastructure.
Tonight, Mayor of Ukraine saying talks in Doha were planned, but claiming they've been postponed due to the situation in the Middle East, saying that they will take place in video conference format next Thursday.
And it's interesting how America, I should say, is acting as if they were really wanting peace talks to happen, when they're funding the Ukrainians, saying to fight. So, I thought that last part was BS. And also this is a major news outlet. So they're not really telling the audience the severity of the, influence that America has. Not, what I mean by influence, the fact that they are funding, various artillery, but also they are you know, sending troops over there, man, via NATO, and acting as if, these guys are, Ukrainians, undercover. But it's very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Now I wanted to play this alternative news outlet. This in regards to these various attacks. Now this is a summary of Scott Ritter. Scott Ritter. And he's like you know. Basically ex U.S. intelligence of the Soviet Union, and also he was over the defense, the military defense of America. You know what I'm saying? He was a part of that organization. And he's basically just let you know what's going on, man. This NATO is funding all this stuff, and also it's NATO troops, man. This is a summarized version of what was said. Sorry about that. I had a quick call, but this is Scott Ritter. He's pretty knowledgeable and everything. So just to give you a backdrop, this is Scott Ritter is basically going to delve into the coast front. This is the area that Ukraine was able to take over. Okay.
This is the NATO army, the Polish-speaking, French-speaking, English-speaking NATO army that invaded Russia at the command of NATO. You guys came in with the best you got, and it's pretty damn good. It was impressive. But Abdiel Adonov has come in, and he's impressive. This is a serious thing. NATO invaded Russia. People, you got to understand that if the Russians went to Mexico and brought in Colombians and brought in Venezuelans and brought in Cubans, and next thing you know, 25,000 of them with the best equipment organized, crossed the border and captured Columbus, New Mexico, and Pancho Villa Part 2, we'd be going to war against Mexico, and we'd be going to war against Russia. You don't get to invade the United States and not expect to pay a price.
Now you hear what the man said, okay? Now I would encourage you to listen to more, do your own research. But we know that all these things developing is because prophecy has to happen. All these things that we see going on was written before, okay? And a huge component of prophecy is the war between the beasts and Gog and Magog, okay? Now there's Revelation 20 and 7, and when, goodness gracious, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Now it's just talking about actual Satan being locked up. No, this is talking about after the Dark Ages, when Esau, Edom began to reign again. We have to understand that what we see before us, America, is a part of that fourth beast that's spoken about in Daniel the 7th chapter and expounded on in Revelation the 13th chapter. You dig? Right? So when this man goes out, is released, and he begins to set up his Renaissance period, and begins to reign. That little horn begins to reign, which is America, right? Which we see going on now. What's going to happen? Well, eventually there's going to be a war between that little horn, which is America, and Gog and Magog, which is Russia. Okay, right? And shall go out and to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth. Gog and Magog to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. All right, so there's going to be a huge war, and we know that war to be a World War III, the third war. Okay, the third woe. Excuse me. All right, this is what we see going on before us. This is prophecy, and it's gearing up. Things are gearing up for prophecy. Things are gearing up for a huge war. Okay? And a lot of our people, they're going to get caught out there because they're not ready for what's to happen. They're very caught up in the affairs of this world and pop cultures, social media and things of that nature. So the day of the Lord is going to come as a thief in the night for a lot of our people. But call Allah Yahweh Shemel Shada, we have a chance. You see what I'm saying? It's very important that we understand the chance that we have, man. This is a glorious time to live. Although we might be beaten down, although, going through whatever we're going through, yet and still, man, we seeing these things. We glorify the Lord because we know that we're almost out of here. So, pray this edifying. Shalom.